It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Oh, the heat is on. You're going to be transmitting. You're going to be using the man's air. They're like, did you get your permission slip? Some people are just challenging. And that's one thing about the internet is that it just, I don't need your permission. Well, they're going, yes, you do. Well, we'll see what happens. But, pirate radio has been around for a long time. And the one thing that a lot of people don't know is they're threatening the internet even before it was really getting started in the mid-90s. And a lot of people were going, you can transmit data using ham radio. And we had a lot of activists that were ham radio guys, just like you have a lot of internet geeks now. You had a lot of ham radio geeks then, and they would do data packets to where you would just transmit emails and so on over the airwaves. They shut it down. There's always going to be something. Spaceship 14, they're going to be putting up our own satellites. Well, we got our own satellite. KU band, LRN.FM, and you can transmit it and become your own pirate radio station. So we've talked about, for about $400 or $500, you can get a really good microphone and a mixer, and you get your cabling, and you get some software, and you have your computer, and so you're making content. But LRN.FM already has the content. And if you want to add to it, you have the opportunity to do that with the podcasting and just be good at what you do. And Ian's going, yes, boss, I want you. And you'll be added to the mix. Now, that mix is broadcast out on a satellite that you can receive with like a $100 30-inch dish. Then it goes to a receiver, about $100. Then it goes into something that's going to broadcast it. You can, feed it right back into your Facebook or channel or whatever the heck you want to do with it. But you can do it to your neighborhood. Now, some of these, if you're willing to skirt the law, Ian, how far can your signal go?
I guess the question is, how much do you want to spend and how much risk are you willing to take? I mean, you need to be a good neighbor. It's one of the most important factors. If you're going to get on the radio, whether it's going to be in your neighborhood or it's going to be for your entire city, whatever you're intending to broadcast to, you want to make sure you don't step on your radio neighbors. So if you want the FCC to come knocking on your door quickly, start broadcasting over top of an existing station. Bad idea. Find a clear channel on the dial, and there's a neat little tool that'll help you do that. Obviously, you can just tune around and listen and kind of drive the area to make sure there's nothing else out there, because if you just listen at one location, that's not good enough. You need to listen around the area to the same channel to make sure it's clear everywhere. But if you go to radio-locator.com, there's actually a link there that'll allow you to punch in your zip code or punch in your city, and it'll come up with the most open spaces on your radio dial. It'll automatically tell you where the best places to be are. Then you can just kind of drive around and pick the one that is best. So you're not stepping on any toes that already exist. And then, the question is, what do you want to spend on a transmitter? I mean, there are cheapy China ones that you can get on eBay, and you can get a transmitter and an antenna for, a couple $100, or you can go to a couple thousand and get a more professional kind of a transmitter and antenna, and you could cover a whole city, no problem. A small city you can easily cover with, a few dozen watts. There's a nice fit. There are a few nice 50-watt professional transmitters out there. You pair those up with the right antenna, and most importantly, putting the antenna up high. That's the critical aspect. At least when you're doing FM, AM broadcast is a little bit different. But when you're doing FM, getting that antenna up as high as possible is one of the more important factors. You can be broadcasting 50 watts on the ground and 5 watts in the air, and that 5 watts is going to do better.
Let me go ahead and we'll talk about the philosophy of this. Radio, when I first started doing the studio here, when we built the workshop here, we knew that we were going to eventually create a radio studio. It was never my intent to go on network. I've been on 3 networks since we went ahead and started doing the radio show here, and it was because people wanted content. They liked what we were doing, and be on what we're offering as a product, but I always kind of went in with the idea. I was done with Terran Radio. I was going, look, man, I see where this is going. It's going to be internet-driven content because I had such a larger audience. Even though I was in morning drive here, I had a larger audience downloading my podcast, probably a lot because there wasn't any libertarians on the air. It was a limited market, wow, there's somebody on the air as a libertarian. Oh, my goodness, how did that happen? So that had a lot to do with it. But now that we have so many freedom-oriented shows and such out there, where's the best way to go? Are we, the internet, is that kind of saturated and we're needing to get back into the airwaves where we can penetrate the matrix in our neighborhood and we could even promote it? You put out flyers and so on. You have, tune in to whatever, banners, that kind of stuff. We did that a little bit during the Levolution to great effect on the universities. But, if it's really that effective, the man's going to come after you. So you got to be willing to do away with your goodies, and you put it in a little self-contained solar-powered box on top of a tree kind of thing. They want it that bad, they can go get it. So, what kind of options do you think people should start pursuing, and why? Why is this important?
Well, yeah, you are definitely, if you're going to rattle the cage, the man may very well come after you. So you do kind of have to expect there's the possibility that you could lose everything that you invest. But if getting the ideas out is important to you, I think radio is one of the best ways to do it. The internet snobs are going to tell you, well, everybody's on the internet these days. Well, that's not true. There are a lot of people that are not on the internet, and a lot of people only use the internet at work. So, yeah, we're certainly seeing more people using the internet, but radio has an incumbency factor that the internet just doesn't have at this time. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the radio industry people do studies on these sorts of things, and they find that a significant majority, like over 90% of Americans, listen to the radio during the week. So there are people out there that are ready to hear the ideas of liberty, and you could help provide that for them. It's just the question is, are you willing to take the risk? And anytime you're going to challenge the man, you're taking a risk. So don't think for a moment that if you're just going to do politics and you're going to be all safe. If you do politics and you start to challenge the establishment, then all of a sudden the establishment's going to lash out against you. They're going to find stuff to come after you for, and they're going to trump you up on charges or whatever. So there is no easy road to liberty. There are some things that are easier than others, but in the case of the FCC, in most instances, there's a certain way that things go. They have to find the signal first, and these are bureaucrats, so it's going to take a while. Here in Keene, there was a transmitter that was on the air for a few months, several months actually, before the FCC finally showed up. It's currently off the air. But that's what you can do typically, is if the FCC comes knocking, don't let them in. Don't even talk to them. Don't give them any identifying information. If you're renting a house, they don't even know who you are. And even if you are renting a house, they still don't know who you are. They don't know if you're the one. If you're the homeowner, they don't know if you're the one that's actually doing the broadcasting. So they've got to gather information and conduct an investigation. And if you just ignore them, they're going to go away. And if you're scared at that point, flip off the transmitter. Cool down for a while. And better yet, if you've got some other activists in the same area, hand it off. Have somebody else turn it on for a while. That kind of thing. Yep.
Nope. There's always risk. And, if you weren't having any impact, there wouldn't be any risk. So
yep.
What are some of the other things before we run out of time that they go to broadcasting? Is that what it is, broadcasting?
No, just broadcast.lrn.fm.
Okay.
If you just go to lrn.fm, it's one of the tabs at the top.
Yeah, broadcast. Okay, lrn.fm, you'll find it up there. Now, they take this project on. I'm sure others have. What are the stories that you're getting back the effectiveness, and how many minds are getting freed using this method?
Well, it's pretty fresh, Ernie. Our satellite channel has only been online since June, and we've only had the broadcast page up since shortly thereafter. So I have gotten a couple of reports from people that have started their own radio station. One guy is using it in Ohio. He's using LRN on the weekends on his station there. He only turns it on the weekends, actually. And he's using our satellite signal. So
bureaucrats don't drive around on the weekends.
It's rare that you're going to actually hear, at least me, it's rare that I'm going to hear from somebody that says, hey, I'm running a pirate radio station. Although I love to hear from people. If you are, please, email lrn@lrn.fm and let us know. We'll add you to our list of affiliates. But as you might imagine, a number of people that are running what they might call micro radio aren't exactly going to put that out on Front Street.
Well, some would. It's always about free minds and having fun doing it. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And one of the things I hope this show did, if you're patient with us, Ian and I just kind of, went through it, some of the basic equipment that you need, and there's different ways that you can do it. There's software out there, there's forums. Go ahead and give out the forum because they get a lot of information from that.
Well, our forum doesn't have a load, but there's a good amount. It's micro.lrn.fm, and of course, there's plenty of other forums on the internet for these things.
There's a lot of information out there. If you really want to do this, talk to mom and dad. You need a microphone, you need a mixer, you need a computer, and that's really about it. I mean, some software you can get free. So plan on spending a few $100s, and you can add your voice to the signal. Jacking in.